Clovercrest Media Group is proud to present Season 2 of Stinky Beak.
He threatened to kill her, you know. He said it out loud. He said, "I will kill you." She did not believe him.
I think the circumstances were dubious about her disappearance because she had run away several times prior.
She told me he hasn't told a soul. The man driving the car, whoever he was, nobody's ever said a peep. It was never talked about again, even between the two of them. And I'm not sure those two even saw each other after this.
In a no-body case, you generally need time and seclusion to dispose of the body.
She told me that he's been lying. He lied about this whole thing.
In his own mind, he probably does love her in a way we would consider particularly sick or twisted, but I think in his own mind, he does love her.
She felt like she was climbing the walls, which isn't a phrase that a kid would use, but that's what she's telling me. Like, she felt like she was almost trapped. She said she was trying to look for a way out.
I won't go into detail, but I would say you're hot.
Subscribe to Stinky Beak wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to Divided We Stand. I'm Victoria Lang. I'm here with Joe Aguirre. It's just the two of us today. Not to sound sad or anything, it's just the two of us. That's pretty exciting. You could have a real personal one-on-one. This is going to be really good and fun.
I take no offense at your tone about that.
I think it's going to be good.
I would say, I mean, right, by and large, and you and I are I'm like double your age, right? I think you and I agree more often on things than you and Rob do. Because Rob,
I feel like me and Rob a lot of the times like gang up on people and we're like,
yeah, but I mean, also at times Rob has, you know, interesting views.
Interesting takes for sure.
Yeah. And I don't mean that in a bad way. And I mean, I'm sure he's going to watch this. But yeah, what's going on, Sketchy Peasant?
Howdy, Sketchy
Good to
Peasant.
see you.
Period.
Frank, I miss Rob right out of the
we
gate.
do
Frank,
too.
huh? Yeah.
We do too.
What do you
But
mean
he
we
wants
do?
nothing
We
to do
don't
with
miss
us.
him. Rob's got a lot going on. He's got a lot of good things. A lot of good things going on with. I'll piss you off shortly. So he's got some. We got some technical things that we're working on. But
so true.
Yeah, he didn't say he wasn't coming tonight.
But he did say that he hated us, so that wasn't a lie. Anyways, the first topic that we're going to be starting on today, I don't know if any of y'all heard about it. I'm a little job, at my little real person job, and I had the news on in the back, and I heard that this New Jersey school, I don't know if it was the whole district or just one school, decided to rule out Columbus Day and switch it for Indigenous Peoples Day, and that went over no problem. I'm pretty sure that every school district in Connecticut has done that, which that is appropriate. But they also decided that they were going to take it a step further and remove all holiday names from the calendar. So I'm talking about no more Martin Luther King Day, no more Christmas, no more Valentine's Day, no more none of that. It's just going to be days off. What do we think? So it doesn't affect anybody.
You know what? I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, maybe that's best. Maybe just to really make it all neutral rather than honor anybody, you know, like we have a National Day of Prayer, which is directly in violation of the Constitution, but whatevs, you know, you just pick your battles, I guess.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where, like, to honor somebody in 2021, of course, implies you're dissing everybody else, right? If Black Lives Matter, right, then
obviously nobody else
then no one else does.
Right.
But if Blue Lives Matter, you're a racist. So we're in a very delicate time right now. You know, and I've said this a few times, and it bears repeating. And again, I don't mean to say this to be insensitive to the Black Lives Matter movement, but if more people need this to be like an all lives matter situation, you know, again, Officer Jim Fahey was kind enough to join us last week former South Portland police officer for 27 years. Look, nobody wants to. Nothing comes out of what's been going on at this point, Victoria, right? Like the division in this country. And, if you're honoring a Southern general or Christopher Columbus or pick somebody, and somebody's going to have a problem with it. And I think that's the problem here. So again, maybe just not honoring anybody and just saying you got a 3-day weekend, and it doesn't mean you hate America and the troops and don't care about them. Then I don't know. Does that make sense?
Well, the thing is, I feel like it could be taken in a couple ways. I feel like, I don't know the intention, but I feel like a couple board members definitely were like, well, if we can't have Columbus Day, then we can't have any of them. If this is what the people want, then we'll, and I kind of feel like it was a little bit of a,
I think I've told you, I'm related to Christopher Columbus. And I think, we were fed a lie as children about a lot of things, but Christopher Columbus was a really prime example. Christopher Columbus was not a cartographer. He wasn't an explorer. You know what his job was? He was a hired mercenary. Like his job was like to go and kill people and steal stuff. That was an actual job you could have in the late 1400s. You can say now like he's the worst human being on earth and smallpox blankets and whatever other things he did. But he was good at his job. At that time.
But do we need to have that specific holiday? The thing is, I totally understand the outreach for that.
Victoria, I'm an Italian-American descendant of Columbus, and I'm telling you, no. I mean, it would be like having John Gotti Day. He's a bad guy. He did bad things. No, you don't honor those people. That would just encourage that behavior. So no, and I mean, I get that, you don't have to knock the statue over and break it,
I mean, like, it's not the worst thing that you could ever do.
Let them take it to the Italian American Club. They can put it in the foyer or whatever, let those people honor somebody. Right? I mean, he represents like
throw meatballs at it or something. I don't know.
Again, for most, it's funny that I would say most Italian Americans will argue till they're blue in the face that he was a great explorer, that they named America after him, and none of those things are true. I mean, he thought he was in India, which is why Native Americans are Indians. He had no idea where he was. He just thought you could sail that way and be in India. And people were like, you're kind of an idiot.
Totally true.
And he was like, you know what? Wherever I land, I'm just going to kill everybody and take their stuff. There are holidays for a reason. People need to know why they're not working or going to school. People in general need to pump their brakes. That's kind of funny. And by the way, Frank, I disagree. I don't think we live in a world we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings anymore. We just don't want to hurt certain people's feelings. If you're an idiot, we can still tell you you're an idiot. I mean, I think that still sort of rings true.
Mm-hmm. I did see a clip of everybody who was in this meeting, like all the parents and stuff like that. When this was decided, people got up and they were like, man, F this, we hate this. And it was, for the most part, kind of people, you know what I mean? So I'm assuming that they're more upset about, I'm assuming they're more upset about the getting rid of like the Memorial Day, Veterans Day kind of names rather than any of the other ones. But
but don't they win by getting rid of Martin Luther King Day? I mean,
right? Like, God.
it's a peace offering. We'll give you that one if we could just take all the other ones off the table. What do you say? It's sad that we have to do that. It's sad that, I mean, not everybody can view, Martin. I mean, I know people who have an unfavorable opinion of Martin Luther King. I mean, for both him as a human and for what he did for this country. Mm-hmm. So that's sad. But yeah, I mean, again, I've always found, I mean, I've been in the broadcasting biz for a really long time. And I worked with this woman who incessantly talked about the most annoying little twins in the whole wide world. And everywhere I went, the listeners would say things to me like, hey, I hope her kids die in a bathtub accident just horrible things. And do you know why people were saying that? It wasn't because they really didn't like those kids. It was because all she did was talk about how great they were. And when you compliment your own children, it certainly feels to other human beings like you're dissing their children. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants to feel like, you know what I mean? Nobody wants to feel like they're less than you. And unfortunately, I think that's how things come across. So again, when you're honoring one thing, you're slighting another thing. And that's not my feeling. I don't give a crap. But I think for like 50% of the population, they can't take things at face value. Honoring Martin Luther King doesn't mean you're admitting the country's racist. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like that where people struggle with those basic trade-offs. But again, why are they upset, Victoria? Because in a negotiation, right, you don't get to walk away with everything you want. And since 2010, the Republican Party has refused to cooperate. I don't know if you saw, but Mitch McConnell just said if there's a Supreme Court opening in Joe Biden's last year, he won't allow them to vote on it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I mean, he just did it and stopped it before. Like, is this guy insane?
I mean, yeah, that's why it's just like unfazed. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Again, it's because that's the way he wants it, and no one's telling him any different. He doesn't want to hear anything. You don't like it, get out.
The highway, baby. That's it.
That's what it boils down to. But yeah, I mean, look, just I hate the PC thing. I think it's so stupid. But if this is the only way to make everyone stop being a big bitch baby, then just do that. Baby. Just December 24th through the 30th can just be a bunch of X's. We don't have to even say what it is. It could just be Christmas vacation. No, I mean winter vacation.
Christmas vacation. Yeah, no, can't even be that.
Oh, this is the most ridiculous thing. I mean, I've been going to the local high school Christmas celebration every year, right? For like forever, right? My kids are all in school. You know what they sing at these public school events?
Feliz Navidad?
All Jesus tunes.
Oh.
It's all Jesus.
Feliz Navidad.
It's all that stuff. Silent Night.
No, Dominic the Christmas donkey.
No, there's none of that stuff.
Beef.
None of that stuff. It's shocking.
Damn.
It's shocking. I've spoken in schools on a number of occasions. You know what happens? Do you know what happens before or at the opening bell? Everybody says the pleasure.
I was just about to say that.
In every
freaking
day. High school that I go and speak at, in the morning time, they do the Pledge of Allegiance without fail. Everywhere I go. It's like, what are you people talking about?
What are you people talking about?
It's 2021. It's how many years since Jesus died?
Dude, like a lot. Like at least 6,000, they say.
No, we're counting since Jesus died. It's been 2021 years since Jesus died on the cross. Right? I mean, if there's any more proof that the Christians are like, you're getting your way still.
So, like,
it's really, I mean, I think in recorded history, it's like the years like 57, 86 or something. That's about where we're really at. Right? I mean, the Chinese don't even count numbers like it's just animals, chickens, snakes, stuff like that. But it's a lot longer than what we're doing 2021. Give me a break.
Give me a break. You want to know what else you can give me a break on? Did you know, Joe, that since you have gotten your COVID vaccine, you are now magnetic You're magnetic. You're basically an X-Man. Have you tested out your new superpowers?
This is amazing. I haven't yet, but I guess I should, huh?
Well, I have a realization. I have a new discover. Maybe we should play the video first. Can you run that for me?
Yes, vaccines do harm people. By the way, so I just found out something when I was on lunch, and I wanted to show it to you. We were talking about Dr. Tenpenny's testimony about magnetic vaccine crystals. So this is what I found out. So I have a key and a bobby pin here. Explain to me why the key sticks to me. It sticks to my neck, too. I got this. Yeah, so if somebody can explain this, that would be great.
Look at the lady's face in the back. She's like, girl, stop.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Oh.
Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. There could be something terribly wrong with that woman. She could have a serious buildup of iron in her lungs or something.
Well, so I had the discovery that since I have not yet gotten vaccinated, and I know that I'm kind of exposing myself right now, but honestly, I'm not scared of the vaccine whatsoever, but I know that I'm going to feel sick after, like for like a day, and that's all I've been. I know, like I'm totally like a loser and I need to get vaccinated and I'm totally going to do it. But I have found the realization that since everybody in my family is vaccinated and not even me, that even I feel that I have adapted these powers and that I am magnetic. So I'm going to prove that I have also gotten these powers too. I have this nickel right here. I'm magnetic. Thank you, everybody.
Oh my God.
I know. Are you seeing this right here? Is that from the nuclear blast from the opening scene? I am pretty sure. So basically theory bunked, not debunked, theory bunked. She's totally right. And people are magnetic.
Frank said he took the vaccine and never got sick. But I mean, Frank also looks like he's near death all the time. Oh my
God. No need for roasting Frank right now.
I mean, yeah, seriously, Frank.
So, yeah. Sketchy present since I fully vaccinated and my phone will stick to my forehead for hours.
I'm still not sure what's going on with the vaccine. Not that I don't believe in it or I question it working or that I'm waiting to see what happens, which I guess that's a thing. That there's a large percent of the population, mostly on the right, that are waiting to see what happens. And I guess the joke is really on them because this is not a one-time vaccine. This is a vaccine I guess we're going to have to get every year.
Good.
Yeah. So let's see how these folks do next year when it comes to round number 2.
By the time that I'm 60, everything in this room, this entire drum set is going to be magnetized onto me by all the shots that I've gotten by then. We'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. I also saw this one lady. She slapped a nickel on her arm and she goes, "We're all fucked. Joe Biden, we're all fucked," because this nickel was sticking on her arm. And I know that I might be kind of confusing right now, but people really believe this kind of stuff. And can we just dispel? Obviously, there is no magnetic crystals or anything like that in the COVID vaccine. It's a clear, how would that even happen? And I'm not even sure what their theory are. Some people are sticking magnets to it and saying that there's like metal in it and the magnet sticks to it. And then some people are saying that there's little magnets, like little nano magnets that I don't know that they put in the So the theory is quite inconsistent, but I feel like we just had to talk about it.
I guess if you think scientists are the kind you see in James Bond films, like if you think that's what the norm is for scientists, then I could see where you would think that this is all a big scam. I just recently, I kid you not, a week ago, had a conversation with a friend of mine who was a school teacher, okay, who said to me, he finds this whole thing suspicious because all these scientists have been getting rich during the pandemic. I said, which scientists?
So true.
And he said, all of them.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I identify as a scientist, and I agree. I'm rich from the pandemic.
Is that crazy? This person, Victoria, really thinks that. The internet has destroyed this simple-minded folk. Well, because listen, right, here's the problem. We all want to be smart, and we all want to feel like we're smart and we know what's going on. And unfortunately, the way the human mind works, and the dumber you are, the more intense this gets. When you don't know something, you just make it up in your head, and you sort of keep it there as fact. And you're probably not willing to change it even when presented by factual evidence. Like you can tell where you are on the scale if somebody were to show you, that the earth was not flat and you believed it was flat and you saw the actual evidence and they were able to show you that it wasn't, that it was a photograph from, the outside of the firmament, snow globe that we're in or whatever. You have to know where you are on the scale of like Looney Tune before you're like, oh God, man, I'm so embarrassed. I thought it was flat. Yeah, no, I see it now. People aren't like that. People are still like, no, man, it's a big conspiracy with so all of NASA is in on a conspiracy theory about a moon landing.
Yeah.
Like people.
Well, I feel like that is more believable than any of this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the evidence for that is a little bit more sufficient than there being little crystallized magnetics in a clear vaccine that fits through a tube that's like.
Yeah, but do you understand if they if they could fake the moon landing, Victoria, they could fake anything.
That's so not true.
So
that's
when you but listen,
news.
when you use that you use that Looney Tune as the baseline for what you think is true, they definitely faked the moon landing, and you're like, no, they didn't. You don't know how space works.
You don't know how space
There's
works.
shadows. Well, of course there's shadows.
We're on the moon.
What?
What? Why is there no shadows on the moon? What? I'm confused.
No, there's shadows. People don't like that there's shadows. They think that that's weird. It looks like it's on a sound design. As if there wouldn't be a shadow on a giant ball that reflects the sun back towards the earth.
Bro moment.
What do I know? Again, most people think they know what they know. And, have you ever talked to somebody and they're just, you hear them, maybe not even talking to you directly, maybe they're talking to somebody else, and everything that comes out of their mouth, you're like, where are you getting this from? It's all gibberish. It's all like made up stuff. And you're like, what? Like somebody read a Wikipedia page and is trying to explain it to other people,
I do know somebody like that.
I hear that. I hear people do that kind of stuff all the time, and it does drive me absolutely insane.
Absolutely insane. I mean, yeah, big points. We've definitely done this whole pandemic thing again. That's why it's so frustrating, whatever. And I kind of want to go back to Frank says that they're installing trackers on us. Why in the hell would they need trackers on us when we literally carry around these homeboys all day, every day? That is so crazy. We don't need that. We voluntarily.
As a matter of fact, I mean, we've had testimony that NSA is like, well, Trump is even breaking. Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah. So, what are you going to do? Anyways, speaking of the vaccine and all that kind of stuff, today we have unfortunately surpassed 600,000 deaths from the COVID everything. And California reopened today. So there's some other news, but there's just just a little reminder that we're still going through this. Cause I know a lot of people are like, oh, like, why would you still wear a mask and all that stuff? But honestly, like, regardless of like COVID or anything, I've been sick for the past like 2 weeks with just like constantly whatever, because I've been like going out and doing stuff like that. Like the masks and everything definitely work beyond COVID. And I think that everything still kind of needs to be happening because people are still dying, not as rapid, but honestly, when all of this like first started and we went into lockdown, like it's kind of like looking how it is now. You know what I mean?
9 states have seen an increase in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
Guess where they all are? Not in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, for the people that are, don't want to live in fear. I'm sorry. I don't understand that. Like, the people are like, I can get hit by a bus.
I can get hit by a bus. I'll walk in front of it and right on now.
What?
Prove it to you.
I mean, yeah, you probably would get hit by a bus, you idiot.
Did you know that going in the ocean, if you get eaten by the real life Jaws, the one that was in the movie, that is actually a higher chance of that happening to you than you dying from COVID. So did you know that? I just made it up.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we could put that up as a thing. Nobody will know the difference.
I think so.
Obviously it's time for us to get back to the world. Everybody knows it slowly but surely. And I find, most places still want you to wear a mask. I think there was a shooting because somebody didn't want to wear a mask the other day or some crazy nonsense. I don't understand that. If you went into a cancer ward, they would make you wear a mask.
Right? Like if you go other places, if you go to like a lot of Asian countries, they just like wear a mask. Especially like if you're sick, if you have like a cold or something, it's like, why wouldn't you wear a mask? You're gross. I don't know.
Florida never really closed down. That is true. It's also a cesspool.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're still dealing with this kind of stuff right now because there's people who want to get vaccinated.
I don't understand why you guys keep electing Republicans in that state for the life of me. I mean, all they're doing is stripping away everything from you. I don't understand that.
Move down south so we can fix it.
It's because they hate libtards. That's plain and simple what this is. It's super unfortunate.
Super unfortunate. I mean, I want to talk about right here. I'm not sure where he's from, but I am almost positive it's either like Texas, Florida, something like that. I'm not sure where this congressman is from, but there is this congressman, which I really wish he's from Texas.
Gohmert. Yeah, Louis Gohmert.
Oh, thank God. Thank God he's from Texas because I would really be like kicking myself if he was from anywhere else. But he just asked the Forest Service to if they knew how, or if BLM knew how to change the course of the Earth's orbit around the sun to maybe help climate change. Maybe if you saw him explain it, he would do a better justification. But I think that this man just single-handedly solved our climate problem.
I understand from what's been testified to the Forest Service and the BLM, you want very much to work on the issue of climate change. I was informed by the immediate past director of NASA that they have found that the moon's orbit is changing slightly, and so is the Earth's orbit around the sun. We know there's been significant solar flare activity. And so is there anything that the National Forest Service or BLM can do to change the course of the moon's orbit or the Earth's orbit around the sun? Obviously, that would have profound effects on our climate.
I would have to follow up with you on that one, Mr. Gohmert.
Yeah. Well, if you figure out a way that you in the Forest Service can make that change, I'd like to know.
You and the Forest Service could make that change? I would like to know. I would like to know as well. I would like to know as well how BLM could change the Earth's orbit so we could just be cooler and save the penguins and the fishies. Forget the straws, baby. Forget the straws. We're changing the Earth's orbit.
Now,
what do you think?
My understanding is, first of all, when he said BLM, he did that. So it's the Bureau of Land Management.
Oh my God! So I'm the fucking stupid one.
No. He certainly
meant it. I feel like
he certainly was doing that to be humorous. He knew what he was saying. He never actually referred to it as the Bureau of Land Management.
But
He
yeah,
just
literally.
called it BLM for obvious reasons. And explained later that he was being facetious when he asked the question because he doesn't believe in climate change. So of course, there's nothing you can do.
I think it was pretty clear that he was facetious about it, but the fact that he even did that or went about that, or we're allowing these people in Congress, it's like, let's take a step back.
Well,
Let's
again,
take a
like this
step
is,
back.
isn't it easy to address things that you don't want to, like, you don't want to address the science, so you make fun of science and you talk about like how preposterous that notion is, and it's like, you know what, stupid.
Nobody said that.
I'll bet you in 50 years they will be able to do that.
And BLM, Black Lives Matter, will be doing it with the power invested in me in the Black Lives Matter movement. Antifa will be changing the rotation of the world. And that's
quite likely, yes.
I literally can't. I just cannot believe that was real and that.
Sketchy says Louis Gohmert is a superior kook. BLM could shoot a beam in space and it could change the Earth's orbit, and we can cool down about 25 degrees. We need to burst out the space beam ASAP. Why not? I'm glad that they sort of believe in the science. They know that the science is there. Everybody wants to believe in laser beams. I think that's pretty fair. Laser beams are pretty dope. The idea that you could nuke a hurricane. After President Trump said that, I know a lot of people who were like, you know what? Honestly, that's really not that stupid. We should try nuking a hurricane. You know what? No one's ever done it before. Then I also heard from some of the lunatic right-wing nut jobs that FDR actually had nuked a hurricane.
I think Louis just hacked the system and took me off. Sorry about that.
Could be. No, it's all good. It's all good. It's you never know. Ever since Eric Snowden, you just can't trust the system anymore. I find when I go on my best rants where this is stuff people should hear is always when I seem to have some tech issue.
Yeah, it's so good. I love it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Somebody at the FBI is like, mute him.
I bought a freaking wire and everything. Why is this happening to me?
Yeah,
they're hacking the system.
It's a conspiracy.
It
is. What it
is.
is.
Mm-hmm. The next topic that I have for y'all is not politic related whatsoever. I just am kind of getting a kick out of it, and I labeled the segment John Legend's wife bullying other celebrities. I'm talking about Chrissy Teigen, because the most fascinating part about Chrissy Teigen for me is that she's famous for being John Legend's wife, and I'm pretty sure John Legend is also pretty much famous for being married to Chrissy Teigen. Do you know that?
Yeah, that's
I'm
pretty
true. Sure that is essentially, he's got that one song and that's it, and they're pretty much just famous for being married to each other. And I love that for them.
Isn't she like a mean model too? Isn't she not even nice?
I wasn't even aware that she was a model until I read all these stories, and I was like, oh, she's not just married? Oh, okay. I thought that I don't even know.
They both seem like unpleasant people, if we're being honest.
Right. I do agree. Their Instagrams really get me. But anyways, Chrissy Teigen is bullying people. The first one that came out was a couple weeks ago, and it was, I don't know if you know who Courtney Stodden is. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Well, she was 16 when she got married to a 51-year-old Doug Hutchinson, which it's that is totally not her problem.
God.
Or her fault.
Right. That's the dude from the Green Mile.
Right.
Creeper. He was a singer. Right. Yeah. Oh, God. I remember this. It's all coming back to me now.
Right. So it was like a whole big drama in the 2000s or the 2010s, if you will. But like, I don't, yeah, some people are going to remember it. It's kind of niche, but she was getting a lot of shit, obviously, from everybody. And she was clearly all drugged up. Courtney was during the time. This was clearly not a good place for her. Like, her parents and this creep, this 51-year-old who wanted to marry her, were obviously in the wrong and not like her because she was 16 and like, but Chrissy Teigen took it amongst herself to say that she wishes that Courtney would take a dirt nap and like just told her to kill herself a bunch of times. Said like a bunch of really awful stuff to her when she was 16. And why Chrissy felt that passionate about it, I'm not sure. And now she has another accusation of bullying one of her stylists. He was on Project Runway, I believe, Michael Costello. He says that he has suicidal thoughts after Chrissy Teigen's ruthless bullying towards him. So in the age of like cancel culture and stuff like that, are we canceling Chrissy Teigen or do we forgive her? Because she has come out and been like, I was a troll and I was just insecure. But like, what? Like, what is your problem?
I think if you weren't trying to make a bad joke, you don't get forgiven. I mean, that was so you were, dude. Again, this is why all these people that are on Twitter and you know the constant high road nonsense and you know, I would tell you this, right? I think for me, when it comes to like Christianity specifically, but kind of religion in general, it's the idea that like. You know what made Jesus a weird person from other people, Victoria, was that Jesus wanted to be the one to forgive.
It wasn't the hair.
If you did something to Rob and I'm Jesus, I'm like, Rob, you know, I forgive you, Victoria. We're good. And it's like, who? What? How does that? Nothing to do with you. You don't get to decide that stuff. So it's like that vicarious redemption where like, someone else is going to take away all your sins and your problems. And I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. I don't know why people are so worried about what other people are doing. I think people should just all mind their goddamn business and worry about themselves. Chrissy Teigen should worry about her husband writing another fucking hit sometime in this lifetime. You know,
should worry about being
that.
married.
You know what I mean? You don't have to run your mouth about it. You don't have to have an opinion about everything. I tell people that all the time. You don't have to have an opinion on everything. If you don't know about something and someone asks you about it, you know what you should say? I don't know anything about that. I'm an idiot. Just say that.
Yeah.
Rather than run your mouth and assume or think in some way that you know what I mean? I hate that. We've had, Victoria, so many people on this show. It's always the right-wing people on this show. They always end up quitting like babies, but
yeah, they're like, no, I can't do this.
Here's what the argument always comes down to is they'll say some stupid shit, and I'm like, oh, well, prove that.
And then they
flip out. What, you like CNN? What? What is... I just asked, right?
I will say I did call one of them stupid.
Absolutely. Last summer we had a debate, and I suggested to one of our co-hosts at the time, I suggested to him he didn't know anything about BLM and that I thought he should look into it more. That all he seemed to know were the counterpoints to BLM, and that I thought if you do a little research, maybe you could find one thing about it you like. And for that, he called me a communist.
So true. So he got you there. He got you good.
What? Sketchy says, I co-sign you, Joe. People worry about other people while their lives are screwed up. People don't want to realize they suck and displace their issues on others. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? Like, I don't have a problem with Chrissy Teigen per se. I kind of, some of it's kind of funny. I remember we do need Connor back. I would love to get Connor back on this show.
Connor also hates us. Rob, Connor, that's who should not be named. They all don't like us for some reason. What did we do?
But so here's what people get pissed about is when they say something and you say, you know, I don't think that's accurate. or you have the actual fact to back it up. You know, it was so funny last week, and again, I love him to death. Officer Fahey, Jim Fahey, thank you so much for coming on last week and talking police. But when he had that thing like he was waiting to tell us as if we didn't know that more white people were killed. Like he thought that was like some breaking news story. And
we were going to be like, oh my God, you got us there, my guy.
The country's 75% white. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's going to be more white people killed, but again, my better argument there is, I've really, I feel like I'm making some headway with people on this, Victoria, that if you really are an all lives matter kind of person, you should be pissed about the police.
Everybody. Brutality. Yeah, right.
That should burn you up more than anybody. You should be also the one saying, how come like 175 Hispanics a year get shot by the cops?
But also,
you want to know. But you don't. You don't care.
Those kind of stats. They are like looking at how many people get killed by the cops a year. Because I remember him even specifically saying like, "Oh, then don't commit the crimes." But it's like you're not looking up how many unjustified like cases of police brutality in white people there are. You're just looking at
no
like
real way to know. You would never know that. You can't. Right? I mean, listen. If you went through every single police shooting to figure out which ones were justified and which ones weren't, I would assume, right? You know, Eric Garner and you know Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor and Tamir Rice. I mean, right? Say their names.
Right.
Like how many are there? Like how many are there? Honestly,
like countless, genuinely, like
yeah.
Hundreds.
I mean, but legitimately. So, what is there like 100?
Thousands,
maybe 100, like 100 names that you know of, maybe 50 names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out of the thousands of police shootings, there's a handful that are really sketch where you're like, that's not right. I think in a lot of these situations, it's, you know, I mean, again, I think it's less clear cut. Also, one of the numbers I don't think anybody noticed was the amount of unidentified, if I'm not mistaken, was nearly the same or about half the number of the total shootings, which is a nice way to say they just didn't write down the person's race.
Right.
But capped them nonetheless in sort of an unknown category.
Yeah, couldn't tell you who this is, but we got him in the face, so you don't either.
Kind of, you know what I mean? Like the number really jumped on the unknowns was like, you know, as many as the Hispanics, if I'm not mistaken. It was a pretty big number, and I just thought that was sort of interesting.
No.
That could be all black people. If we would have
you know,
it could be all black people, in which case it would be more than white people. But I don't know that. Nobody knows that. They don't. Some places aren't required to mark it down. But I don't think they should. I don't think they should mark it down. I don't think when you're looking
like
at
now in 2021, the time being, we need to be kind of holding people responsible and taking track of that kind of stuff, or else
I don't want to know how many abortions are done each year either. I don't think that that's a number we should be keeping track of as a nation. Why are we doing that?
So different because you don't choose to go and get like shot by the police. You like choose to go like have an abortion. So facts.
I remember when I was a kid, McDonald's had this thing going on where it was like over 1 million served, and then it was like 100 million, and then like 150, and slowly the number was going up until they got to 1 billion served. And
now they don't know.
Yeah, I thought, I don't really give a crap how many hamburgers McDonald's sells. I'm not keeping track with you. I don't want to count along with this. It's a stupid thing to be celebrating.
It's not. Like
I don't understand.
Like,
I don't understand why we keep track of how many abortions there are every year, as if that's a thing. How many vasectomies are happening every single year?
I don't think that we need to be doing that, but I think that we need to take into account how many. Is
that not a weird thing though? Like that's a number that
for sure. But like talking about like people who are getting shot by the police, I think that we need to take that into account because there's either an issue with police training or with like policing in communities or something, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's why that's like, it doesn't really, unprotected sex and getting shot by the police are like totally so different. So different.
Jared Jones just sent me a really funny meme. It says, ban Viagra, impotence is God's will.
So
I don't want
true.
my tax dollars paying for your erection. If pregnancy is God's will, then so is impotence. Yeah.
I agree.
How many bowel movements are conducted per year? I don't want to know that. How many root canals? Why are we? It seems like that becomes an issue every year because we're keeping track of it. And it seems like we're keeping track of it just so everybody can get pissed.
You kind of just reminded me. I'm going to take it off topic here. I don't know. I just been feeling really spunky lately. Joe, have you ever had like a root canal? Like, what's your craziest dentist story? You ever had any crazy dentist work done? You're like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? But
are you serious?
I'm so serious.
I had a root canal. I did. And it was the worst thing that ever happened to me.
I bet.
So I had a filling that one night crumbled on a bacon wrap. Literally, the filling crumbled in my mouth.
On a bacon wrap?
Yes, the bacon was kind of frozen. They should have cooked it a little bit more, but yeah, it broke, and the air was exposed to the nerve. Went in the next day, got a root canal. They botched it. I got dry socket. You know what that's like? Yeah.
Oh.
Just wanted to like smash my face off a wall the entire day.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't go to a dentist for 8 years.
That's a bra moment. That's a big bra moment. But I'm kind of like on my way there. I don't think I've been to the dentist in like 2 years because I don't know. I can't. I need to figure it out.
If I have one thing with when you put your hand in somebody's mouth, just be gentle. I swear to God, I choke and gag. I hate the dentist. And they don't make it pleasant. They're like,
they
just
talk
breathe.
to you when you're in there. They're like, "Oh, what'd you do today?"
Oh, I know. Oh my
keys.
God. How are your kids? Don't talk to me. It's just like same thing. Like I haven't gotten a haircut in a long time. Shut up. Just cut my hair. We're not friends. We have to like converse.
That's like part of it. Some places, if you go to like cosmetology school, they like give you like a personable class, or how to talk to people at some places. True story.
They should make a place where you can go and it's just dead silent.
Silent.
I just want to hear each clip.
I'm gonna open that. The silent salon.
Yeah.
You silently don't talk to me. You get your nails done in silence.
I my entire life, I mean, whether I go to a barber shop or a salon, whether it's a dude or a woman cutting my hair, it's like, shut up.
I'm so that way. And I feel like everybody judges me for not wanting to talk to customer service people, but I do not want to talk to you. I'm so sorry.
I have a friend who goes to a massage parlor. And the woman at the massage parlor is very good and she's very nice and she's very well put together, but she's a raging Trumpaholic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're getting like this great massage and she's like, did you know Oprah and Tom Hanks run a pedophile? Like, shut the fuck up.
They're wearing my nephew's face right now.
Please, why are you, just rub more, talk less. Good God.
Rub more, talk less. Love that. That is so great. Masseuses everywhere.
Yeah.
Rub more.
Yeah. Just shut your mouth. Do the rubbing. Do the rubbing and get the hell out of there when it's over.
That's it. This is like quite the turn, but I do want to acknowledge that this Saturday is Juneteenth. It's not really talked about, and like my sister's in school and stuff, and I was like asking her, I'm like, do they talk about this at all? Especially like in lieu of last year and everything. You would think that people would start to, I don't know, teach that, put it somewhere, but like I haven't really seen anything about it. But if you didn't know, Juneteenth is short for June 19th, obviously. It marks the day where the federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas in 1865 to take control of the state and ensure that all enslaved people be freed. The troops' arrival came a full 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth honors the end to slavery in the United States and is considered the longest running I think that there still were slaves after that, to be honest.
No, there weren't any more after that. Things only got worse because Jim Crow kind of set in. But yeah, it's the reason why they were down in Galveston, Texas. I don't know if you know where Galveston is, but you might as well not be in America anymore. The Southern landowners, after getting their asses handed to them in Atlanta, Virginia, and all points in between, just kept retreating until they got to Texas, and they were trying to hold out in Texas. They just really, really, really didn't want to get rid of their slaves, and the Union had to drive all the way down to Galveston and be like, hey, like, for realsies, though, the slavery thing's a dunner. We're done. We're going to call it a day. And that's how it went.
And going back to like the first thing that we were kind of talking about, a little full circle moment, I feel like this is why it's important to have names and stuff like that, because when you're talking about somebody like Christopher Columbus, I was brought up learning about Christopher Columbus and his holiday and all that kind of stuff pretty much my entire childhood, up until I got into high school and everything kind of switched over and we acknowledged that that probably shouldn't have been a holiday. I still to this day don't hear anything about this. So I feel like completely taking away all calendar names, I feel like it is kind of a slap in the face to people who advocate for this kind of stuff, because it's like you're completely taking away what we're asking for, or you're misunderstanding it. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's purposeful or if it's just out of ignorance, but that's, you know.
So I'm proud to say I knew what the Tulsa Race Massacre was and what Juneteenth was many, many years ago, because I was a history major in college, and that sort of stuff interested me. And I remember somebody just asked the other day on Facebook, one of our friends, Tyler Bard, actually put up a poll thing. When did you have your first black teacher? And mine was a professor in college who, in the course of our class, talked about those things. And I will admit, up until, I was 19 years old, as my sophomore year, I had never heard of those things. And I had done a lot. I was a big history guy, did a lot of history studying. It was kind of my jam. And I didn't know those literally until I had a black history professor in college who was like, and I do remember, and this is just to show my bias as a child growing up. I mean, when he said there was a Black Wall Street, I thought, I don't believe you. Yeah. I don't believe it.
No good.
I think that sounded preposterous. And I was like, oh, and white people destroyed it. Okay. And nobody got in trouble. Yeah. All right. I didn't believe
You're
that.
telling me that Leonardo DiCaprio isn't sitting there right now and it's not just him? Yeah. Why?
That did not seem like an actual story of something that could have happened in America. And I hadn't known about it. I was shocked. But I'll tell you this, during the quarantine, I watched so many documentaries about things that have happened in the United States in the last 40 or 50 years that my mind is like blown. There's so many cults in this country.
Yeah,
and so have been for so many years. It's unbelievable.
And they're legal too, tax-free. They're
you can't mess with a cult.
You can't mess with a cult, baby. We're starting our own cult. It's not a cult, though. It's just Clovercrest Media friends. Join it.
I like that. That's lovely. Isn't it just, look, at the end of the day, and this is what I keep telling my idiot friends, and I have so many idiot friends, it hurts.
Totally same.
I tell them all the time, I'm like, listen, if Joe Biden starts pulling some crazy shit, I swear to God, every show I do, I'll be all about it. If they start working that real hardcore, like Soviet socialism in, I will admit you guys were all right.
Yeah, we'll be like, oh my God.
But right now, none of that is happening. Like, none.
Oh my God, sorry. We just.
Cult for Crest Media. I like that. Cult Crest Media. You guys are all on the same page. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it a lot.
Love the energy we're bringing today.
It's a shame that there's people that look at Juneteenth as like, now they want to have a day to settle. It's like, oh my God, are you guys doing this? I just had someone ask me this the other day. When's White History Month? And I was like, no.
Every month, 11 months of the year.
But no, he said, you know what? There's Latino History Month, and there's Asian American History Month, and there's Transgender History Month. He goes, when's white people? And I thought about it, and I'm like, well, there's white people in all of those groups.
Yeah.
There's gay white people, right? There's
Asian white people.
Other disenfranchised groups are white people.
Well,
so.
like that's the thing too. Like a lot of these, like, I don't know, like a lot of like white people. Does that make sense? Like I feel like there's a difference. This is a conversation that we've had before on this podcast. Like there's a difference between like race and like ethnicity. So even like if your skin color is like white, you can still like be something else, but you're still like a white person. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but I've seen it. I've seen it. I've heard it. I don't care much for it, but
I'm just saying, like, it just doesn't make any sense as to why we would need a White History Month. Because, like, at the root of it, too, like...
Well, I point this out all the time when I say to people, well, we have Black History Month because you all think George Washington Carver invented peanut butter.
He didn't?
It's a terribly racist thing to say. No, the Skippy or Jeff or one of those guys invented peanut butter. He did experiments with peanuts. He was a very, very impressive scientist. But again, the fact that people don't know what he did, and that's the one example they can give, the point that you don't know anything about Black history at all. It's 28 days. Learn something, you dummies. 28 days.
The shortest month of the year.
Plus the weekends. You're down to like
weird.
20 days of paying attention to Black history. You can't give them less than 3 weeks.
Wow.
Come on. What are we kidding?
I guess we must be.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, like, I agree. How can you not? With that, I would like to end the show with this meme that my mom sent me. It appears that she got it from Facebook. She sent it to me about 5 minutes before we went on. It says, it's a Facebook post. It says, what do you trust more than the Bible? And the response is the ad on Pornhub with the girls telling me that they're within 3 miles of my location and want to hook up. That's what my mom sent me. So with that, thank you so much for watching. This has been Divided We Stand. We're here every week. You can see us on iTunes, clovercrestmedia.com/Divided We Stand. We're on Facebook, YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on all of it. So check us out. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.